You know, sometimes there is something to be said about just dropping an album out of nowhere without any warning and just surprising all of your fans. Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead. So Radiohead has been one of my favorite bands growing up. I really connected with them within their OK Computer, and I really fell in love with Kid A, and I feel like they floundered a little bit after then. They were trying to really find themselves. They weren't quite sure where to go with Amnesia and Hail to the Thief. These albums had definitely some great tracks on them, but it wasn't until In Rainbows came back where I found they really found their niche, their creative outpour. And unfortunately, the later album of King of Limbs really didn't connect with me. I really didn't feel it with that one. So when they dropped Moon-Shaped Pool, I was a little hesitant. I didn't quite know where they would go from there. But with that single track of Burn the Witch, I felt like they had found their niche again. I really love that track of Burn the Witch. It reminded me a lot of King Crimson's Lark's Tongue and Aspect. It has that same kind of almost a duality going on where you have a very acoustic and very almost old-fashioned approach with that string section leading the song through, and I really love the strings in this track. It has such a, I don't know, almost a juxtaposition going on where it doesn't quite feel right, yet everything that's going on is fitting very well between that. In contrast to that, we have this great beat section with that synthetic noise. And so the blending of these two styles really create a very great track, and I love how this song builds. So overall, that first hook was such a great treat. And then after that, they dropped the entire album on me, and so I was really looking forward to it. Overall, I feel like this album is definitely streets ahead of King of Limbs. I feel like they took what they learned from that very experimental and very avant-garde approach to music and applied it here. Unfortunately, I still don't think they quite found their stride that they did from In Rainbows and Kid A and all those past albums. I'm not going to compare it too much because I do want to look at it in its time right now. Overall, I feel like this album really did its job well of creating that atmosphere from Burn the Witch. It's very depressing, very moody, and very melodramatic at times. So they hit that one mark and they hit it very, very well. So if you're looking for something that has that kind of approach to it, you're really going to like this album. On the flip side, there's not a whole lot of variety either. A lot of these songs don't really deviate too far from that norm, and there's no real meaty hooks. Those, jam sessions that I really enjoyed from Radiohead, or at least just that inner workings of the guitar and synthesizers. Outside of maybe Burn the Witch and Present Tense, which is the other track on this album that I really, really enjoy, there's really not a whole lot to really sink your teeth into unless you're actively searching for different things to take out of this album. Much like a lot of Radiohead's approach to music, you almost have to put it together yourself, right? Like it's almost like getting a furniture set from IKEA where they provide you with everything that you need to put the song together, almost like an abstract art piece. You're getting out what you're putting into the song. So in some sense, a lot of people are really going to like this album. A lot of people are going to love analyzing this album and really diving in and tearing it apart. Unfortunately for me, what I was looking at, it didn't quite connect quite as much outside of Burn the Witch and Present Tense. There's a lot of other tracks on this album that I really enjoyed, but never quite to that same extent just because it's that same note that the band has been hitting throughout the entire album. And a lot lot of these songs really take their time at building the song. Again, much like that metaphor I used with the IKEA furniture, the one song, Full Stop, like half the song is the build-up for the song itself. Tom's vocals here really harken back and pay tribute to David Bowie. It sounds like that same style that Bowie was employing within Dark Star, and I don't know if this was a tribute or an homage to it, but I can definitely see the parallels there. The album overall has a very synthetic approach to it. Less synthetic than, say, King of Limbs, where that was just a very experimental piece, but less organic than In Rainbows. So it was kind of like that middle ground between those two albums, I feel. So overall, yeah, I didn't quite connect as well as I had hoped to on this album, but I also hope that this album is a slow burn to a bright fire later on. And I feel like that was almost the point here. I feel like the group really dropped it out of nowhere for us to get used to, so that when they release this thing on vinyl and, you know, deluxe CD in a couple of months, we'll have digested it a little bit so we can appreciate it more on a different medium. So hopefully by that point, I'll be in a better place and I'll enjoy the music that much more. But for the time being, I have to say, stream this with headphones. This is an album that I would go back to when I feel in the mood for this type of music, because it is very melodramatic, it is very depressing, and it is very melancholy, but it is one that I will probably need later on in my future when I go through difficult times, because I think that's really why this album was put out. So that's about it. What did you guys think about Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead? Whatever it was, let me know by commenting below. And thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.